And it is Fascination Street again. It is that time, and it is with Jimmy, Sarah, and Mika. Although Mika is not with us because it is an all-adult show. So there may be some adult themes. There may be some vaping on our end. There may be some swearing on both our ends. And who else? We don't know what else is going to go down.
So you've been warned. You have been warned. So if that's not your jam, you can leave 3, 2.5, 2, 1. That's it. Right. You stayed. Shit. If you're still here, that's it. That's how it goes.
You shall suffer.
I've done the first cuss word just to get it out there.
Sarah broke the mold. Well done, Sarah. Well done, Sarah.
Thank you.
So we've got in the chat with us this evening so far. So we've got John aside, Maggie, good evening. John aside again. Jeff Demers, Maggie again. Okay, Jimmy, no cussing. Okay, I won't. I will wear my slave Leah outfit for you, though. I'm just joking. The wig is as far as I went. That's it. I'm not going no further. Ryan from Chaos Theory Productions. If you like your story spooky on YouTube, check out Chaos Theory Productions. They're pretty cool.
And we have Planet Looper. And do you say Sidvich as well?
No, I didn't. Sidvich, welcome.
So, hey, everyone. And thank you for joining us. It is a real pleasure to have you all with us. And look at that. Unspirituality is in the chat room too.
Hey, never heard of him.
Look at that. Look at that. I
know.
2 things at once. And it's a male.
Who exactly? Who said
here?
Multitasking.
Yeah. Memento Mori loves that.
Oh, and why not too? I've got. Let me try and get this.
Nice. We are kin.
We are Guns N' Roses. 19.
Guns N' Roses. Come on. Come on. We are kin.
Yeah, we are. We are more than you know, dear boy.
Nice.
Okay, now for a lot of our guests, we like to do a bio, but obviously you are one of the very special guests that has got such a wide range that you have taken part in throughout your journey. Would you like to give us a bit of an overview of what you class yourself as?
Ooh. A subject.
As a little bit of a change in the bio front, I would like to pass it over to you and see how you feel.
I'm not sure I get it. I mean, I consider myself a subjective explorer. Really, that's really one of the best things I really like to use is one who's explored, the inner world. I really dedicated my life to it out of necessity because of the child abuse that I suffered as a child. And so, my early years were horrible especially from the age of 10 to 30 were really bad. Early 20s were really bad because I was, I was just completely possessed by this pain and suffering and the personalities of the people that I was abused by. So I didn't like who I was early on. I looked at myself and I was like, I'm like my mother. I'm like my father. Who am I? But the suffering, really pushed me into seeking deeper and deeper and looking to everywhere I could go. And when I had finally it ended up, I did the whole, I was, raised in LA. So I was in the rock and roll Hollywood scene right around. We were playing in the same studios, Rat and Lita Ford. And I hung out with Dawkins. Yeah, I hung out with Dawkins. We drink beers out in the parking lot, and even Black Sabbath came in and played one. Yeah, I know, right? I walked into the studio.
Wow. I take it we're talking Ronnie James Dio Sabbath.
Was this Dio? I think this was Dio. I think. And boy, I remember walking into that studio, man, and it was an ominous flat black. Everything was flat black, and it was really an ominous feeling. And then I headlined at Gazzari's one Saturday night, me and my band, Crystal Rock. So anyway, but through the years, I was right in the heart of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and then I went from there to, I got a born again experience, and that was a literal overnight, actually in one moment, I changed. My friend Don came with me, and he was looking at me, and by the time I was done, he was like, he just saw me transform. And the pastor said that they rarely see a transformation like this. And so I became from then on, I grabbed a Bible and dedicated myself to the Lord, and literally left all my friends, left my girlfriend, said I'm now married to Christ, and went on a path to, I become a child of God, and it was very clear who I was, and I dedicated my life to the Lord, and being a vessel of the Lord. And then that led into, did you ask me to do all this? Is that what you were asking? Did you want me to give you an overview? Okay.
Yeah,
and then
we want the whole Zen experience right now, because, your story is fascinating, which is one of the reasons that we wanted you on, because you posted that short video a little while ago. And I shared that to my dad. I shared it obviously to Sarah. I've watched it about 4 or 5 times myself now. It's just out of sight how one person can go through so many different experiences and things like that. I mean, when you say about the child abuse thing, I can relate to that personally.
Okay.
And you have all these different bits and pieces going on within you, and you're wondering, who am I? And like the fear, and, you're going to tell your parents going to make, and it's a truly horrible feeling. And you question everything about yourself.
Right.
Is this normal? Is this natural? And it affects your relationships with everyone around you, even your own personal relationship with yourself, which you don't really learn about until you get a lot older. You just get those feelings that something's not right, and you can't put your finger on it.
Yeah. Well, best way I can explain, for me, I was just twisted.
Yeah.
And I had a number of nervous breakdowns in my teen years, which led to a moment which I start out in my book, where I'm staring at a shotgun, and this was before the Christian experience. And because I hated living, I had I also didn't realize I also was bipolar. So I wasn't diagnosed bipolar I wasn't diagnosed bipolar till a couple of years ago. So I didn't know that I had, what's that?
That's so difficult to get your head round on its own.
Oh, right. So I didn't know, my family didn't know, they didn't know why I ended up distancing myself so much. But there, some things happened. My birth father was, he was in the entertainment industry. He had a hit in it was I think it was number 2 on the charts in the 60s, called Priscilla. And then he had another song called Boy You Ought to See Her Now. So he was on the road, and he met my mom. My mom was hot, and they had me on a weekend in Tijuana. So he came. So I was raised by him, my mother, grandmother, and a sort of a mysterious stepfather that worked for Lockheed Martin. Whereas there's more to that story. And so my father came back when I was 9 or 10, and instantly he started getting abusing me. Well, he was really friendly, wonderful. I was excited to see him, but then it flipped, and he started abusing me. Basically, trying to make a man out of me, and I was beaten a number of times and forced to smile when I was truly sad. So it took me I had to work on that really hard. I didn't get my smile back till my early to mid 40s. That took a lot of work to get the smile. Now I have my smile; it's mine. But that, between getting hit in the face and just the shame and everything that came along with that. But I was replaced by him because he was an adult child, had an alcohol problem. So my mom replaced me for him. So I suffered from, this steep abandonment with my mom and my father, who showed up. So all those things are what I lived with through my teen years. So I got it, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And then I, had the born again experience, and that was very liberating. And then I did that, went to Haiti, and, laid hands on the sick. I did 2 trips to Haiti, and I was a full blown, preaching the gospel, laying hands on the sick, Holy Ghost roller. I went to a youth with a mission, which is the missionary school up in Oregon. I went through that, ended up in a cult called, the House of Prayer and Praise Ministries in Warren, Ohio. So I was involved in that. That's a whole story in itself. It's in my book. But I ended up having to escape them. I had to make a blood oath to them because they were training us to basically die for Christ and be able to go. I was radicalized. And so there's a whole story about how I left that and ended up coming back to, escaped it literally on foot. And I got my way back to California. And then through circumstances, I got invited up to Camarillo Christian Television. And because my dad had been up there, had played some Christian songs, and they heard about me and they go, we got to have him up. So they interviewed me, and then make a long story short, they gave me a weekly a show called Building the Kingdom. And so I was preaching the gospel online, laying hands on the sick, praying the Holy Ghost. Anyway, so make a long story short, I finally started questioning that. And then I started getting into Elizabeth Clare Prophet's work, which was a nice transition from Christianity into the New Age, and worked my way into the New Age, and then got involved with Scientology for a period of time. Then I ended up escaping Scientology, and then was really into the whole UFO thing, secret government thing, which was just coming out in the 90s. None of this stuff was out. None of it. Bob Lazar, none of it was out. And no one knew about Area 51. So for those of us who were really into it, there's extreme paranoia. We all lived with it. You know, and stuff that was being released, like in the Val Valerian series, The Matrix and all this stuff. It was heavy duty stuff. I mean, down to there's a grid, like all the telephone wires out there are connected to the coils in your bed. And that there's this whole grid going across all the cities, and that those are related to the coils in your bed, and they're programming you while you're sleeping. So it was all of this stuff. And then you've got the reptiles underneath underground bases, and that all the children were being kidnapped or being used as food sources, and also for the Greys. And the Greys that would have to literally swim and soak in vats of children's blood, human blood, to keep their skin it would, so that they could be in this atmosphere on Earth. That's what kept them here. So I'm just telling you, it was intense. There's a lot of this stuff early, and we're learning this stuff. I'm learning this stuff before any of this is in public. Any of it. UFOs. If you talked about UFOs back then, they looked at you like you were a crazy person. And a lot of things happened. I met, how I came across the Val Valerian stuff was I met somebody who was in held a political office. And I went to a MUFON theater meeting. And so all this was like very Men in Black back then, and, I met him, and he was like, we met for a reason. Have you read the Matrix material? I go, no. He goes, read this, It was something out of a flippant movie. So it was all fun and mysterious looking back, but it was this journey that I was on, which was, the journey was so something out of a movie for me, and then I was always on a need to know 24/7 basis, at the same time healing my inner world, doing inner child work. The thing that happened in the Christian born again experience, that was a Kundalini release, massive one. So that was my first big one. So Kundalini releases, magic, synchronicity, following the muse, following the spirit, listening to my higher self, being guided to go here, to go there. Again, that's why I documented in my book the whole story. It's a story that has to be read. And then I got onto Drumvalo Melchizedek's Flower of Life work. And when I saw that, I was like, this is what I was born to see. And so that led me on a track of following Drumvalo around. And so I had to meet him. I felt related to him on some level, because he was talking about the Druids and the connection to the Flower of Life and all of the stuff that just, it was like, it was in my cells. Like I remembered this on some level, and it was like coming home on a spiritual level, and so it changed my life. So I went to I went to the first Flower of Life seminar in Oxnard, California. And that's when they were talking about pole shifts and all that stuff, and that at that point, I was a real ball of light. You know, I didn't eat much, and I fasted a lot and prayed a lot, and I was just this ball of light. And so then I ended up going to UCLA. Drumvalo was speaking at UCLA, and I went to UCLA to watch him. Big auditorium, and I saw him going to the bathroom. So I went, right?
Weirdly following behind.
Right?
Nothing
Very,
weird about that at all, is there?
very slick, you know.
Following up the men's rooms.
Into the men's into the men's room. So there he, you know, he's
Freddie
there.
Mercury started out that way, didn't he?
What's that?
I think Freddie Mercury started out that way, didn't he?
I don't know, but maybe. Oh yeah, gotcha. So I got in there, and I think he had just finished up, and I was washing my hands, and I turned around, and I saw him. I go, Drumvalo, you are my hero. That's what I said to him. I go, you're my hero, and I meant it. And he just smiled, and I don't think he gave me a hug. He just smiled, and I said something else to him, and it was a big deal for me. Mm-hmm. So, because it transferred my life, and I finally saw an embodied ascended master, one connected to the ascended masters, and he from the order of Melchizedek, you know, so he went way back. And anyway, so make a long story short, I ended up coming to Sedona, and that part of that connection to Drumvalo and being in the heart of the new age, because I was in the whole thing. I was preparing for the pole shift, the ascension. I met pretty much everybody who was everybody. And I mean, everybody who was everybody in Sedona. All of the artists, I mean, just almost everybody that was involved on some level in the new age. And so, you know, my journey just went deep into all of this stuff, you know, from drum circles to you know, all sorts of parties and connections and spiritual meetings and everything. And all these various experiences over, you know, I've been here over 20 years. And I knew when I came to Sedona, and I had felt this my whole life, I knew that I was going in for a dive. In other words, there's going to be a point in my life where everything was going to break up, and I was going to go down into the unconscious and fall apart. Mm-hmm. It was very clear to me that this was going to happen. So that's one of the reasons why I came to Sedona, because I knew it was going to happen, and I knew it was going to be, you know, I was being prepared for a complete breaking apart of my psyche, everything blowing apart, and the old me completely shattering. Alex Gray has a painting of this happening. It's the shamanic experience, and it shows this person completely being broken apart, like completely broken apart. And when I saw that, I understood that. I understood on some level that everything that my childhood, everything that had happened, that I was still, you know, I was the evolved being that had grown from this being, but I was still that person that had been evolving from the childhood, but I hadn't been truly born again from within. So that I went and rented a little trailer, and I got completely out of the whole social scene in Sedona, and I shut off, and I blocked myself away in a trailer for 5 years. And I went into inner dream work, very intense inner dream work. And through my dreams, I traveled around and you know, and then I you know, spent time learning some basic stuff, because I was traveling around, and I had a hard time, you know, with some responsibilities. And that was the other thing I wanted to handle, was really train myself in some basic responsibilities. So that's why I got a small place. But this was the whole work. And so I'd had reoccurring nightmares. I mean, my whole life, night terrors, but there was one specific one where it was my childhood home. And I kept on finding myself in my childhood home where the trauma was. This went on and on and on. There are various scenarios. Well, one night in the trailer, I wake up. I'm of course dreaming, and all of a sudden I see my childhood home, and it's on fire. It's like, And all of a sudden I'm seeing, all of a sudden I wake up and I'm gushing with goosebumps. Like, I mean, if you think of having a goosebump, you know what I mean? I'm talking about all the way through your body, like gushing, like, you know, it's just, you know, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And this went on for a while. And then boom, there were other dreams. There's also various sequences involved with this, but boom, I blew out, and it was a full-blown Kundalini release. And for 2 months, it was quite a while. I actually I have difficulty with this one. It seemed like 2 months, but it was quite a period of time, which ended up where I literally, like, I'd be putting my hands on people. My friends would go, just touch me. And I'd touch them. And there was all sorts of some very interesting healing going on. But then Spirit guided me to California, because music was big in this. There's something involved with the music. I always felt called to some sort of music.
The resonation frequency, maybe.
What's that?
The resonation, sort of like certain frequency.
Well, the way I would say it is I've there, you know, again, it says in my story, from the time I was 12, I was being led by what I call the Led Zeppelin current, I was introduced to this current of energy, which I discovered it was left-hand path connected to Crowley. And so there was a deep darkness that I was feeling, was very comfortable in and moving with. But this darkness represents power, a certain level of power. That's an ominous form of power. And that has to do with the Kundalini energy. So anyway, there's a lot around this. But anyway, so then I had talked to my drummer, hadn't talked to him in decades, from Crystal Rock. We played in Hollywood, and that was all synchronistic. And I said, man, you want to do this again? I've got new music coming out of me, blah, blah. Anyway, so Spirit led me. I got in my truck, left my business, walked away from my little, you know, pretty much overnight, my little trailer, got in my truck, drove it up to uptown Sedona, pulled it into this, it was this little spiritual organization, little, you know, they had set songs and all stuff. I went in, handed them my keys. I go, there you go. The truck's yours. And I just walked and found a friend of mine. I said, I need to go to California. He goes, I'll take you. Boom. Went to California, dropped me off at my drummer's house. And I mean, I was so full of this power that didn't matter where I went. And this is a whole story. Like, again, you're just getting sprinkles of the whole story. And then I went on this big shamanic journey down there, walking back to my house that I had been, where all the horror happened. And it was more psychological horror. You know what I mean? It was more of a psychological terror. And I was disturbed early on with night terrors, but all the various things around it. There's also some things around my stepfather that are kind of interesting. So I walked up to the house. I walked up to the house, knocked on the door. The lady opens the door and she goes, "Hi, Chris." I went, blink, blink, blink. And, you know, Chris is the one that left in 2014. And he was the hero of my life. He was the one that had helped me get born. Anyway, that's a whole story. She lived in the front of our house. And they ended up buying the house in the back. But me walking up, she hadn't seen me since childhood. And she just opens the door and she says, hi, you know, I was like, so I said she was expecting me. I mean, it was really, really trippy. Yeah. And I'd had 3 dreams the night before about this. I had 3 dreams. And again, I don't want to give the whole story away. But I got woken up. I was in my drummer's studio where we used to play. And I'm laying in there. My girlfriend came with me at the time. And I wake up in the middle. I got woken up. The first dream was I was standing at a golden gate and my mother was behind me. And I was saying, I've got to go through. I've got to go through. And she's not wanting me to go through. And so, so that's this whole sequence. And I ended up saying, I got to go through. So it was a significant thing that I was moving forward no matter what. The second dream I had, And every time I woke up, and I would wake up like that, my girlfriend, she would like massage, she massaged me because I would have the goosebumps just gushing through my body. It's like, whew, I was like, wow, man. And I'd like, I go back to sleep. And so then I woke up, then I had a second dream. And I had a dream that there were turtles all over the place, all on the ceiling, on the walls, everywhere, turtles. I was like, wow. So I wake up again, goosebumps fly everywhere. And and so some of this was, was also disturbing because I didn't know what was happening to me, and I didn't know I had no idea what was ahead of me. This was the Kundalini thing. The big one didn't happen until 2014. So I go back to sleep and I have a third one. And a third one is there's an ominous presence, this very still. And I had never experienced this, and I had no idea that this was a precursor to the presence I was going to confront in the Kundalini, which I came face to face with. And you notice, like, people have been through these things in the past, they always come face to face with the devil. That's just part of the shamanic path. So there's this ominous presence, and I can just feel it. It's in the world. It's the energy of the world, and it's just there in front of me. And without saying words, it's just telling me, letting me know that you're going to go onto a world stage, and it says that just know I'm here. And it was this ominous, I get goosebumps talking about this ominous, thick, ancient humanity, this presence, this current of energy that represented this very powerful negative power that existed in our world. So so I get up in the morning, and I didn't even know I'm going to do this, and I go, Shanoa, my girlfriend at the time, I go, Shanoa, I think I'm going down to my house when I was a kid, because I never knew what I was going to do on the Kundalini. You never know what you're going to do moment to moment. You just go, well, what do I do now? And you sit there for a moment, all of a sudden, boop, and you go, oh, I'm going over here. Okay. You go there, and then something else happens. So we go down to the house, knock on the door. She says, hi. And Shanoa points over to the right side on the porch, and there's a ceramic turtle. And she goes, look at that. And I go, huh? And then I go, whoa. And so I walk in, and there's this whole thing where I sit in my bedroom, and I go through the whole thing. We walk into the backyard, and they've got a little turtle farm in the backyard.
Wow.
They've got a bunch of cases with all these little turtles in them. So this is the kind of stuff that happened with me all the time. This was the kind of mind-blowing stuff that occurred. And so anyway, that was one of the big Kundalini big releases. And so this whole process, just evolved, and there was music was big, really intense with it. Every time I'd hear the song "Stairway to Heaven," I just couldn't stop the goosebumps, or I'd start crying. It was just, and all of this, this thing worked its way to the beginning of May, the end of April into May, when we had the fire in the canyon. It was the weekend of the fire in the canyon. There was no fire in this canyon as long as I had been here. And all of a sudden we have a fire in the forest in the canyon. And so that weekend, there I'm laying on my bed, and I play. This is a long story, so I can't do it all, but a lot was leading up to it. A lot was happening. The fourth time I played the Stairway to Heaven in a row, my Kundalini blew. I was on the bed going like this. Like, first it started like this. My whole body, like, everything. And then all of a sudden, pop. And it popped at the base of my spine. Poof. And traveled up my spine and hit the base of my head. And then that began a 5-week process of metamorphosis. And if you were around me, you would get dead quiet because you could feel this. And this energy is something that it lives inside of us. It's this tremendous power. And it's a sobering power. And it also has within it this beautiful childlike wonder. it's as if you walked into this realm of great powers and dragons and beauty, and something like out of the Dark Crystal. It's just really powerful. And so, make a long story short, the music Zzenn song was born. There was a whole ritual I did with that, and in the beginning of the Kundalini thing, I was like Richard Dreyfuss in the Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Remember when he went crazy and he took? Well, they know the neighbors are watching me. Kundalini blues, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm pulling my carpet out of my bedroom, because I felt like I had to pull the carpet out of my bedroom, paint the floor, and then draw a circle with the geometric width of my aligned with my body. So I'm pulling it out, right? Just madness. And I roll it out into the front yard. And then I come back. And then next thing you know, I've got my big TV and I've got that on a chair and I'm rolling that out to the front yard. And I just put it out on the street, and then I grab some paint and I'm in my bedroom and I'm painting the bedroom. And then I'm measuring myself. Big circle, guitar gets put in the center, and just all of this stuff happened. And then Zzenn was born at a specific time during that. There was a little, this being in my heart had actually showed up about, about 3 years, I believe, before the Kundalini. It showed up in my room and appeared above my head. At first, it was a swirling black energy, and then it traveled up above my head, and it was about, I don't know. It was about 3 foot tall. And I was having a waking lucid dream, but it was one of those where I was entirely awake. But I was in the realm, I was in a virtual world. It wasn't a literal, it didn't show up literally in my room. Like if you had a camera and you were looking at me from the outside in, you'd see me maybe having some sleep gyrations, right? But I was in the inner world projecting out, nevertheless, any less significant. So this little being, it was this big, showed up in my heart, and it looked at me and said, "Hey, you know that name you've been carrying around since your mid-20s, Zzenn?" I go, "Yeah." "Remember you were going to call that, you were going to name your son if you ever had one?" I go, "Yeah." "Well, actually, that's you. And you've just been born, except we're going to add a Z and an N to it." And I was like, blink, blink. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so from there, Zzenn was born because I truly had been born. So when you hear, if you read and hear the whole metamorphosis, it's very specific what occurred. Very specific. The old me, like a snake skin, slowly over a period of days, completely came off my entire body and out the top of my head, down from my feet, through my hands, through my body, through everything, through the top of my head. And then a whole fresh inner self was born. And so that became Zzenn. And anyway, here's the funniest part about it. Is in 2012, I had the Human Awakening and I had published Unspirituality, right? So I was the first one in Sedona to come against the whole grain, okay? Come public against the whole grain. No one had ever done it. And so I lost a lot of friends, and I was getting in constant arguments with people, and I was so young in this that it was quite a battle. Let me tell you, a one-man army. So everyone finds out, I'm Mr. Unspiritual, right? And then guess what happens to Mr. Unspiritual? In 2014, he has the biggest spiritual experience everybody's been wanting to have across the board. And I didn't plan it. Had I known I was going to have it, I would have ran as fast as I could run.
Oh,
because it's one of those things that you get once it happens, you're screwed. Like you're either going to make it or you're not. And I mean, you're either going to make it or you're not. But it was very clear to me that I had been prepared for this. And I'm glad I went through it now. But had I known I was going to be thrown on, let's just say I've been on like 5-foot waves and 6-foot waves and 7-foot waves. And right, all of a sudden I'm thrown on a 50-foot wave. You know what I mean? So had I known before it, I would have went, I don't think I'm going on that wave. And so I got thrown on it. So I had to surf the darn thing. And so that was really what happened. And then it was just so ironic that I had that after I launched Unspirituality. And because I had already started redefining spirituality from a biological perspective. And so it blew people's minds. They're like, well, I don't get it. You're coming against spirituality and you're the most spiritual person I know. What are you doing? You know what I mean? And it just was so funny. And so it was like a universal jujitsu. It's like God was just like going, nah, 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 you know?
Yeah.
And instead, who are we gonna get to do this? Oh, let's get Zzenn to do it. This will be funny to watch how he deals with it. Anyway,
the last one was a real gas. This one will be a real hoot. Trust me.
this will be a hoot, And anyway, so I ended up. And then from there, it was the whole journey of unspirituality and evolving and growing and hitting the wall, making mistakes, doing stupid stuff. Just all sorts of crazy shit. And it slowly evolved into the YouTube channel, and here I am. Hi, kids.
Hey,
Wow.
Happy birthday. So
that's like the very short version of all that. That's like very small version, but
that's it. Well,
amazing.
Okay, we can call it a night now then.
Good night.
Oh yeah, good night, thank you.
So,
but this is this book here. This is the story, Unspiritual, a Spiritual Journey. You can get it on Amazon.
What we're waiting for.
And you can also go to unspirituality.com and you can get to it. But this is the whole story. And so far, when people have read it, it's got all 5-star reviews. Everybody has told me they can't put it down. I mean, everybody has read it said they can't put it down. So did you read it?
I'm getting through it.
I
have trouble reading so much at a time because I have a lot of medication going through my body. Means that I start reading and I go.
Gotcha.
So I have to do little spells at a time, but I'm getting there.
Taking it to the cinema, nightmare.
Yeah, I have the audio version. Have you on the channel?
It doesn't matter how I do things.
Okay.
If I sit down and do something, I'm gone.
Okay,
like
gotcha.
The cinema or a concert, forget it.
Black Sabbath. Fell asleep during Black Sabbath.
Sinner.
The Cure.
Sinner.
Yeah. Roger Waters in Hyde Park with thousands of people around her.
And
I cannot continue this interview.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I stayed awake.
I'll go.
But a beautiful thing, if whoever buys the book, this is a sit by the fireplace, get a cup of cocoa or tea. This is one of those adventures that, and I'm not just saying it because it's my story, but that's what I've been told. And
amazing. It's been gripping, and it's not so well written. It is well written, but it is so well done that it is a book that you want to know more and more and more.
I think
not only is there one bam, there's more that just keep coming. You think, how is this guy still sane? I mean, really?
Yeah. And then there's the keys. Then there's the keys that are dropped throughout the thing that I got from teachers, and I really glad that came up because, I want it to be. It's about the reader as well. You know what I mean? It's a reflection of your own inner world, and the keys I pass them on. And that's the beauty of being handed the keys and being able to pass those on. It gave me great pleasure to be able to put that into the book. You know what I mean? So you're reading a biography, but you're also getting something for your own personal, path.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, all links will be put in the show description after we finish or as soon as we're able to get into it, because as you know, with StreamYard, it takes a little while for it to
load up to YouTube, and then you can only put so much description in because it will only let you put so much in.
Right.
So you have to go to YouTube at a later time and put it all in.
And how are you getting on with actually getting the book? Because is the book actually sold out at the moment, and you're waiting for the new versions to come too?
Oh no, the story is fine. It's as is. It's Kindle and the paperback on Amazon. It's my first one. This is the philosophy. This is the Breaking the Spell book.
Yeah, that's the next one, isn't it?
This was the first one.
Yeah,
and this is this came out in 2013, and this is the basic philosophy that from which you'll anytime you hear me talk and everything I do, it all comes from this book. And so right now the Kindle's available. I did a mistake on did something with the cover and I couldn't get it put together. So I actually have to republish a whole new book, which means I lose all my prior reviews, but hopefully, my audience will buy the fresh book and put reviews on it. But this will have a different cover, and it's actually going to be the 3rd edition. You want to see the 1st edition really quick? I've never shown it to anybody. All right, hold on. I'll show you the first one.
Yeah, because I've actually started the opposite way around. I've started with the spiritual journey. So I am actually so far through it. And yes, Mum, thank you very much. Jim's mother is in the chat room, and she's just said that I can fall asleep on a washing line. And it is so true.
Confirmation. I'll be right back. Hold on a second.
Hey, Mum, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mum.
So who else have we got while we're waiting for Mr. Zzenn to get back?
We have Rose Joy.
Rose Joy, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Brandon Young.
Brandon Young, I know him.
Yeah. Yeah, we all know Brandon. Yeah. Hey, Brandon. Who else have we got in the chat room? Effluent for you.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
How you doing, Tom? Maggie?
Maggie's still here.
Maggie is still here.
Maggie
She's still chatting away.
She's just only waiting here. Hey, Jeanette.
Jeanette.
Mark Tirana, good day, mate.
Mark. Jiggy.
Paranormal Hood in the house.
Say hey.
K28, hello.
Yeah.
Jeanette. We said Jeanette.
Oh. Yeah. Pat.
Never heard of him.
Yeah. Pat is already.
Never heard of Pat Breeze.
Yeah. Pat is already there. Sidvich is actually he's coming back later. So okay. Silly McChilly in the house. Me. I know that's really annoying.
Silly McChilly. I can't find my book. It's somewhere. Hey, Rose Joy. We're all like a big family, you know.
Yes, Vladimir. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Planet Looper as well. Hello.
Brandon Young.
Everyone knows Brandon Young. He's the friend to all the stars.
Stars?
Seriously.
Is that what we are?
Name me one person that Brandon does not know.
True.
Yeah? Just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there. Brandon knows everyone, which is one of his most endearing qualities. Enjoy being. Hello. How are you? Tying my hands behind. I do hope that's not a fetish thing.
Yeah, let's not go there. Although it is an adult show today, so we can.
Yeah.
Hey, Jiggy's in the hood too.
I know. Yeah. He's already got the hands up and the me.
There he is. There he is again. Am I? Yes, you're there, Jiggy.
I feel ashamed of doing that.
I have messaged you, Jiggy, but you've yet to get back to me, which I think is very rude.
Yes, Jiggy. We have things for you.
Uh-huh.
Mark asks, why the name unspirituality.com?
Yes.
Am I the token black? No, Jiggy. You're not this evening. There's a whole lot of black going on here. I'm wearing black. Zenn's wearing black. Sarah's wearing black. So, no.
Black is beautiful, man. That's all I can say. That's my color.
Beautiful.
If you can call it a color.
I'm only wearing this until I can find a darker color.
Yeah.
So just say that.
Nice.
So, yeah, why Unspirituality? Where has that come from? I know that you...
Toking black.
Toking black.
I had
Maggie's in black as well.
Hold on a second here. I'm just looking at something.
Really you did respond, Jiggy. Okay, I'll check that out. You haven't when I checked.
Yeah. So unspirituality. Well, actually, this is a good way of it. Unspirituality is a word that falls under the same banner as naturalism. It points towards a more human form of spirituality, one that is biological and subjective. I chose this word because it reverses the meaning assigned to spirituality over the centuries, which is dualism, that there is a soul in a body with a story that extends beyond the natural world. Unspirituality represents the antithesis to metaphysical ideology. But the word itself was not enough. It was missing something vital to the completion of an idea. The idea was to redirect the light that spirituality placed on the invisible and turn it back towards the natural, the mortal primate in its evolutionary origins. Thus, the subtitle, Permission to be Human, in bold letters was added to complete the message. So that's what it represents, was a reversal. And then it really turned out to be as well a weapon to pretty much exercise people in the spiritual scene, because it immediately caused discomfort, and immediately it reversed the whole thing. So, it caused people to really that come out of the woodwork. I mean, all the love and light ones, all the ones that are talking about consciousness is love and the universe is love. And I mean, I lost count of the people whose nails came out and they went after me name calling just because they saw unspirituality. So it's like a magical word in itself that causes you to stop and look. And that was a big part of that. I'm also a chaos magician as well. So I'm very familiar with certain techniques that cause change in the human organism. And so this was also a part of that I knew it was strong enough and weird enough. And it made a statement all by itself that it was going to cause people to look. And that was the big key of that name.
Wow.
Fabulous. There we go, Mark. There is
there you go.
Explanation for you.
Yeah.
I hope that covers everything that you require. So remember, guys, if there's any questions, please put them in all caps, and we will if Zzenn doesn't catch them, or if I don't catch them, one of the mods. Yeah, we can actually put them on screen. Did you know that, Zzenn? Well? Did you know that? You said you saw the message from Mark, which we were going to throw at you.
You talking to me?
Yeah, talking to you. You're the one at the end of the camera.
What you talking about?
Did you know you could do this?
Not as awesome as you have done it. And I want to figure out how awesome that it is that you have done this. Hey, look at that. I've got the big screen over here. Okay, I like it.
What is that?
So when any questions come up, we shall pop them up on the screen like so, dear boy.
Okay.
Aren't we so technological?
I'll tell you when we stop going live how to do it.
Okay.
We'll see you all right.
I want to hear the secrets. Behind the scenes secrets.
Don't worry. We'll look you up, bruv. We'll look you up. It'll be brilliant. You'll love it.
Okay. Yeah, I love StreamYard. It was just everything I was looking for. I'm just so glad that you guys had this.
The Hangouts had, but also more. You can do banners. You can put comments on yourself. You can private chat between the guests you've got, so it's not shared with the whole group.
Right.
Sorry, guys. Yes, we can private chat between ourselves, although we're not, but we can. But yeah, it's something that you can do that makes it that more personal.
I just love all the options. See, it's exactly what I would have thought. Was thinking something common sense, something like, again, a turtle could figure out. YouTube makes $1 billion a second, and they can't just take the time to do something that Streamlabs, probably somebody that was, hanging out in their bedroom figured out. You click a button, it's right there. It's so user friendly.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You can't even get that on YouTube.
I have a question for you guys.
Go for it.
May I ask what you guys do? What you guys do
Sarah,
for a living, or what do you do?
Okay. Due to disability, I am unable, or I am classed as unreliable to be able to work, because I never know when I will be able to walk, move.
Okay.
Such. So apart from being a housewife, a mother, I do actually volunteer 2 hours over 2 days at a charity organization in our town that actually helps put money back into our town.
Well, the job of a mother is a bigger job than any other job out there. So, in light of your condition, you're as active and busy as anybody else, so good for you. Hats off to you. I'm a father, my daughter's all grown up now, but I did that dance, and I know how much is involved in it. And not on the level you have, but you know what I mean? Mother, I'm not a mother,
Obviously our guests have met Mika. You met Mika before we went live. So you've met him, he's 10. So he's just going to be going on to his next leg of his journey next year onto what we class as secondary school.
High school.
So
okay.
Mm.
So
And where do you guys live? Where you're in
we're
the
in
UK?
Dover in Kent.
Yeah, we're like proper southeast of England. We are like the closest to like mainland Europe.
Okay.
So yeah,
I've always wanted to go to Scotland or Ireland.
No,
that's totally the other end. Yeah.
That's that end.
I want to go where Merlin hangs out, where the witches hang out.
Glastonbury. That is amazing down
Been there.
We've done a pilgrimage down there, and honestly, the vibes in that place are amazing. They really are.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
That's okay. And a lot of the local sort of like area, like the Somerset Flats and stuff like that, was kind of like very big inspiration for like Tolkien, for like Lords of the Rings and stuff like that. But you can just walk around and there's just magic everywhere. I mean, on the way up to the tour, one of the main things I always wanted to do was do like the pilgrimage from sort of like the White Spring, the Red Spring at the bottom, right the way past the White Springs up to the tour. Sarah, luckily enough, she managed to drive most of the way up to the tour. So I done it, and as we went up, there's this tiny little place, and it's got like spring water coming out, and there's like this guy there, and he's got a big doofer on the go. He's burning sage while he's there, and it's just like, hey, it's an amazing place. Everyone is so friendly. As soon as we parked the car in the center of the town, you had like all the local vendors and people that make like all these real bespoke handmade things, and the local farmers all have like little marquees all the way up through the little village, like the town in the morning. As soon as we got out of the car, the first person we saw, hello, next person, hello, and we were just like,
you don't get that back at home.
What's going on? Are we going to be taken away? Are we going to be like kidnapped? Are we never going to be seen again? Everyone's far too friendly for us.
Right.
Like that for days. Yeah. And honestly, what a really beautiful experience. The people there are just
it's a lot like that in Sedona, more so the further you went back. I mean, that's the good thing about spirituality and New Ageism. There's good in many different things. I mean, my thing has basically been dualism and people splitting off and just saying, look, you can have your ascended master. Just know these are figures inside of you that you have, that you have invoked that are here. They're not out there, and it's not an autonomous thing living out there. But anyway, people are friendlier. I like being here. People are friendlier, and so that's a plus for that, but then you run into delusion and cults and crazy stuff. I actually got contacted by the how do they pronounce it? Is it Garden? It's Gerald Gardner, the witchcraft, the
pagan
Gardnerian. What is the word they use?
It's Gardnerian.
Gardnerian witchcraft. I had the high priest of that Gardnerian witchcraft contact me years ago when my book was published. I've had some very odd people come across my work and contact me, and anyway, so that was a very interesting conversation. And my lineage is witchcraft, and so I have a very warm feeling to the real stuff, not the stuff that we see in the modern day. It's the real witchcraft was much more raw, earth-based system or way of being than a lot of what we see in the current Wiccan circles. So it was very earth-based, the feminine energy, and there you go, nice, yeah. So it was much real world stuff. It was, I mean, the witches of old were women that were, they were threatened. The men were threatened. The orthodoxy that was inherent in the churches and all that, and people, and just the whole meme there. But the men, when the women would look at them and the men were aroused, then it was the women that were evil. So this is a whole thing there. I get into this with my music. I have somebody who, the woman in black, who appeared to me when I was a kid, and she still lives with me. She was part of the Kundalini thing. But this, and her story is that she died at the stake, burned alive, somewhere between in the 15th to 17th century. So I explain this type of stuff genetically. But she's in my music. I actually have a song about her, and it's a song about her last moments on the burning alive, just before, it's a beautiful song. It's an intense song. But I really love the song because it just brings me there. But anyway, the whole thing was about the feminine, the power and the beauty of the feminine energy and how it threatened the males. And so they became witches. But if women have the power, they have this power, and it's a beautiful thing. And men have the warrior power. They have a different type, the warrior energy, which is hand in hand with the feminine power when a man has really come into his warriorhood, and that's what women expect. Unless you have entered into silly land, where you're identifying yourself as a pig or a carrot or
you love bananaism. That's one of our favorites of yours.
What's that?
Bananaism. The way you explain the bananaism, that's pretty killer.
Oh, bananaism, yeah. Well, I'm talking about the whole transgender thing that's been taken, so in my opinion, so far out of context, because I had two friends and met them both when I first came to Sedona that were born transgender. I mean, physically transgender, and then I know what these people went through. And so when I began to see a lot of the stuff come out really in the past so many years, where everybody was identifying as, I don't know, you're a frog, or you're a female lizard. I mean, just all this silly stuff, and really poo-pooing the actual energy that furthers the species. Absolutely. Now, I am a big supporter in gay rights and all of that across the board, because some people, they have a very strong, people can be born with a stronger genetic, feminine side and all this stuff, but the movement really became also, I think there was a lot of aspects about it that were just ridiculous, which try to wipe out the basic male and female powers. And that's how nature does it. It's silly. So if you want to go extinct, then everybody turn gay, whether you're gay or not, and then we'll all just die. It's just silly. The beauty of the woman and the beauty of the man, the male energy, this is the powers of nature. And if you feel naturally that you are, you are gay, whether you're male or female, then beautiful, it really comes out. But I question this whole identity thing, where people are just doing stupid stuff, silly, stupid stuff. I don't really buy it, but it's their right to do it. But I don't really buy it. My biggest thing is I just don't, it's fine with everybody does. But when you start poo-pooing on the basic powers that further our species, then I think that's problematic.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, when you say about like the feminine, etc. I mean, like you, I was brought up alongside like a lot of very, very strong women in my family. My mum, my grandmother, my aunties, all very, very, very strong women. Mm. And I spent a lot of time growing up with them. My great auntie, bless her, love you. She's no longer with us, but again, a woman that was so divine in so many ways. She was the woman you'd go to if you had problems. She's the woman you'd go to if you needed help. Honestly, this woman would solve everything with cake and tea. She was amazing.
Yeah,
and
nice.
Like growing up in that, I always kind of like looked at it that women are the creators of life, whereas men destroy life.
Well, I would say men are the care. The idea of the man is to protect the feminine, and when it comes to creating your dreams, this is another big part of things I plan on teaching. Is in order for you to create your dreams, you have to have a space in which the feminine can grow inside of you. So you have to have that male counterpart that gets the job, that creates the place, so that your inner child can come out and it can safely play, so that your creativity can safely play. So a man who has truly become the warrior is going to watch out for his own, take care of those he loved, but he's not going to be trying to save the whole world, because the reality of it is you can only take care of a few people really well.
Yeah.
And that's why this whole new age business is a bunch of baloney, because it's always about everybody and love everybody. Look, if you want to be a loving person to everybody, fine. I just think that, I point out across the board all the stuff that goes wrong with this type of thinking, and you can see it. That doesn't mean that it's not like you shouldn't try to make the world a better place. I just think that maybe you should try doing something real instead of you being in fantasy land if you're so into it. And it's also okay if somebody doesn't want to. Life is far different than what most people actually think it is. And it's one of the reasons why people escape from it. So my female, because I stopped liking my mom early on, and I had very strong females in my family, but I just stopped liking them. And so that's why my lady in black showed up. So she became my mother, and she has for ever since then. So she became my, you call it imaginary friend, but she's a lot like, what's that cartoon with the lady in black and the horns?
Oh,
Maleficent.
Maleficent.
Maleficent. She's a lot like Maleficent.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a lot like. So that's the one that she's still with me. She's still this feminine power. And that was always, this woman that, she watched out for me. So, that's the kind of mother that that I didn't have in the real world. I actually had a child that, that put it on me as to be the little man in the house to, pretend to be an older, you know what I mean? It was too much pressure for me, and she was a child. So she grew up and she was still a child, so I never had that mother, that powerful, understanding mother. And so she has always been that person, and she's a living entity inside me. She exists as a real being. So, so anyway, but yeah,
that's cool.
Witchcraft.
Yeah, right. So your music, is it available to buy? Is it on unspirituality.com, or is it just tracks that you've put out on YouTube? Because I've listened to Zenn's song I don't know how many times. Oh My Child, what an amazing song.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, yeah, right. Thank you. Yeah, right now it's on YouTube. In fact, I need to upload a bunch of other. I have some more videos that I unloaded, and I need to reload. So, in fact, I'm going to make a note to do that after we're done. I was going to do that.
We're constantly reminding you about stuff, aren't we, Zzenn?
Hey, you guys help me out a lot. I mean, everybody does. Keep me on track. I have somebody contact me the other day, says, hey, you put Stephen Cambion's name in the description box as David Cambion. I was like, oops.
That was a truly amazing stream. I really enjoyed that. I was in contact with Steve earlier today to see whether or not we're able to do a family-friendly show, because obviously we followed Steve's work for quite a while now. So all the Midnight Hour, we've gone through all of those with him, all these other bits and pieces. We've also followed, but just Steve as a person is just mystery man. Man. So we'd like to get him on, which is going to do, and we're going to kind of have a get to know Steve Cambion evening. So yeah,
wonderful. He's well worth it. I was so impressed.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is everyone sees us, because I mean, we are so fortunate, and I know I've said this a million and one times, and people are probably bored of hearing it now, but with what we do, we are so fortunate to meet the people that we meet, have the conversations that we have. And again, like for us, I mean, we've got into following you about a month or so ago.
No, longer than that.
And it was all because of CW. CW had mentioned you. We'd follow CW. We watch CW stuff, and it's like, hey, who's this Zzenn guy? He sounds really, really cool. And everything that you kind of talk about, and it just kind of resonates with us. And so, but even like there was something you was talking about a little while ago, and I said to you through Messenger, look, I'm not going to see eye to eye on this, but hey, still good anyway, right? And the thing is, again, is like the way that it's kind of become within sort of like the whole social media thing at the moment. Everyone has their own opinion on so many different things that sometimes some people just don't see eye to eye, and there is a lot of clashes, and it don't need to be like that. You know, it just kind of seems all a bit unnecessary sometimes. You know, just kind of speak to people, right? It's
always going to be there.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Sometimes it makes it interesting.
We can't all be the same. It'd be so boring.
Well, it does give me an opportunity to torture people every now and then, which is, which is amusing. Yeah. I mean, look what cats do with mice.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And look what dolphins do it, and so do whales.
About dolphins, you've given me, honestly, you've blown my whole.
Did I ruin your?
No, honestly, I was like. I was watching it. I was just kind of had like the full-on Beavis and Butthead face at Sarah. I was like,
and we'd actually on our honeymoon, we actually swam with dolphins, and he was like, "I wish we'd never done that."
Yeah, I feel motivated now.
I feel like
It wasn't a mind blower. You know, I knew this, but that was the first time I had read that article. And I didn't know it on that level at
No.
all. I was like, whoa, man, these are, hello to nature, that's the way it is across the board, but
Yeah.
But it does make it interesting. Some of the baloney that I've ran into, is it true that I would like that not to be there? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, even though sometimes it's just so eye rolling, annoying, I can't say it's not amusing at times.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The spectacle of desperateness and dummyhood makes for, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So Zzenn, tell us a little bit about Zzenn Temple for the people that don't know about Zzenn Temple.
Okay. Well, just to back up a little bit, Zenn's song is actually part of Zzenn Temple. That's the muse of the temple. So that's kind of why I've been so busy with Unspirituality that Zzenn song, I've had to get time with it. But Zzenn Temple is what I call a biospiritual mystery school. And it's something that, it's for the seeker, somebody that feels drawn to engage into subjective exploration. It's not necessarily, although it can be, for somebody that's not really into this and, their life is fine and they're not really into subjective exploration. It's really for somebody that's drawn to the occult work, deeper work, activating Kundalini, all that stuff. So yeah, it's just the idea of this is to be a long-term unfolding process of various things that I've learned and teachings I've learned, and the music is designed to. The music was born in the Kundalini, so people have told me that they feel some very deep things moving in them when they listen to some of the music, and even felt goosebumps. So that's the muse of the temple, and the temple is right now what it is. I have about 1, 2, 3. I have about 6 or 7 videos right now on the Zzenn Temple channel. Which, if you go to the front of Unspirituality channel, you look to the right, you'll see featured channels, and you can click there to see what is going on. So it's a mystical school. It's something that I always wanted to create, and I'm actually thinking about. As of this morning, I was thinking, well, I thought of this before, but doing some live stream. I think I'm going to do a live stream over on the Zzenn Temple channel. And, it's just going to be focused entirely on this. I did a short one a while back, and some people came over from Unspirituality and started talking, Unspirituality stuff. And I was like, no, this has nothing to do. We're not talking any of that, right? This is all on this topic. So it's been one of those things that the videos work. I'm just still, it's like everything I've done, it's like this slow emerging thing. And I don't, and it just slowly, so Zzenn Temple is just like this thing that's growing. And the idea is that someone over a period of time, it's just this unfolding. There's going to be parts of it where you really dive deep into your life and go all the way down to the root of your life and discover all the various pockets of energy that exist in places you may have never known were there. This is all releasing psycho-emotional energy, which is Kundalini. We just have names for it. So all of this. So the process is really going into your own underworld, finding your own way, your own path, your own animal totems, your own unique way, which would eventually bring you to your own teachings. So the key is to always go direct, find out what's inside there. So the Zzenn Temple is a way of like, what is in you? And if you feel like you want to go in there, and as one who has gone in and out the other side, you qualified to teach it. So it's not for everybody, but some may feel drawn to it. And it's a magical body-based occult system for doing the inner dive. So that's the idea behind Zzenn Temple.
Yeah, fantastic.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So how many videos you got on there at the moment? Because we will be linking to Zzenn Temple as well in the description box once we're up and running with that.
Let me zippity-doo over to there. Currently, I have got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got the invitation, introduction, preparation, and then I have the first gate, and then the history of the Mysterium Tremendum, which is a magical book of the temple. Then step 1 and step 2 are 2 meditative exercises for exploring the inner world. So again, these are just really the basic, really just kickstarting things. And it's gone slow. And I have a Zzenn Temple Facebook group, and as well as a Zzenn Unspirituality Facebook group. So people have been following it so far, but it's unfolding slowly. And I think it's going to happen in spurts too. I think they'll be like, well, produce a whole bunch, and then, so it's a balancing act. But I told everybody, I go, this is a long-term project. So, you get to explore patience.
I'm just putting all the links out now into the chat room, Zzenn.
Okay.
So I've got Zzenn Temple. I'm putting Unspirituality in there as well. Copied. Okay, let's try that one.
I'll tell you what, while you're doing that,
yeah, you keep chatting.
I'll go to the chat room because there's a couple of questions that are way back that I've managed to grab hold of. Mark, who actually asked about where unspirituality came from, he actually asked, I am so unspiritual. Why should I believe?
As the first question, I think we answered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second one is, that's an interesting question. She said, I'm very unspiritual. So why should I believe? Believe in what? That's the question back to her. So what's her answer?
Mark.
Huh?
We'll get down to that further on.
Yeah, I'd have to ask, would believe in what? I would say don't believe in anything. In fact, if you believe something, destroy it. That would be my first thing.
Fair play. That's not a problem.
Right, so
let's go for that one then.
And okay.
Zzenn, what are your thoughts on money and its relationship with humanity, rich or poor, equality? I think that's all she's put on there. Yeah.
Well, money, I think you should make as much as you can, because what nature is doing is it's gaining territory. People who start preaching love and light and peace and the world peace, what they're trying to do is gain psychological territory, while saying that, everybody should be all giving and loving to each other. Well, the minute you're just gaining territory with your philosophy, and as soon as you finally won, then someone else is going to come across with another love and light message that's different than yours, and they're going to take you over. That's what nature's doing. It doesn't matter. So that's just the powers of nature. People live in fantasy land. Equality is a myth. What's equal about a person born with an elephant head, this giant tumor, and someone born like Britney Spears? Where's the justice in someone born with no arms, or born as a crack baby, and someone born from an entirely healthy? Well, where's the justice in? You know what I mean? Like, it's so it's such a myth. Now, when we come to human rights, now across the board, that's essential to our species. Everybody has the same human rights. You don't have the right to rape somebody. You don't have the right to harm a child. You don't have the right to harm an animal, a dog or a cat. These are the things that we agree. So these are the things that we share in common as to make the world a better place. So, human rights, animal rights is 100% something I support. But we have equal rights in that sense, that we should all, we don't have that around the world. There are religious systems that absolutely do not go with this still. But that's the one thing as far as equality that I would go with, is that we all should have the same equal rights and safeguards and protections, and don't tread on me.
Mark was believing in spirituality.
What's that?
Mark's answer to that was, why should he believe in spirituality?
But then you've already quashed that.
Well, spirituality, it depends on if you're talking New Age stuff. There's all sorts of stuff you need to believe in. If there's invisible stuff, you got to believe in it, because it's not. I've got a blue avian alien I'm talking to. Well, you have to believe it. I talked to Santa Claus. You got to believe that that's true. Everything else is self-evident. So biospirituality is how I define it. All spirituality actually comes from the biology. So that's not something you have to believe in. It's something that you experience. So you're feeling something, right? You're feeling a felt sense, something deep, something ominous, the mysterium tremendum, this sense of ominous, which is what people will call this felt sense of divinity or God. This is all a biological experience. So I would say, don't believe anything, experience everything.
Right, Zzenn, I've got out your YouTube channel. I've got out Zzenn Temple YouTube channel, the Facebook group, unspirituality.com. I've managed to link to your Unspiritual book on Amazon, and also Permission to Be Human on Amazon as well. That's all in the chat.
Nice. I forgot to tell you, you could have copy pasted under my description of my videos. I forgot to mention that to you. I could have saved you.
Techie. I'm just a sailor. That's all I do. I'm just a sailor. He does all the stuff.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing that.
That's all right. Out there, because I know there was a bit of interest in the book. So
yeah, and I'll get the paperback done. I'm working on it right now. In fact, I'll be working on it today, so I'll get that done as well. And I imagine you guys should be able to get it over where you guys are at. Oh, you did get the book. You did
get it. Could we?
No, you're reading the book. How are you reading? On Kindle.
Kindle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I don't know exactly how Amazon works, but I do have worldwide distribution. I just don't know where I have worldwide distribution.
Interesting.
I think I do. I mean, people in Japan and China buy the book like crazy. I can never read, and Amazon sends me, my royalties, everything's in Japanese. I'm like, well, waha. Anyway, they happen to like it in, I think, Japan. So that'd be fun if I got invited to Japan. But please invite me to Thailand, because that's my favorite food.
We don't like Thai.
Do you like Thai?
I like any Oriental food, but Thai, honestly, green Thai. Oh, wow.
Right? And isn't Thai spices special? Like you gotta be careful you don't overdo it. It's not like Mexican food.
No.
You can hurt yourself.
Yeah. We, Mika and I, we're kind of very into kind of like our chili sauces and things. So we're kind of experimenting with all these different ones that Sarah finds in sort of like the grocery store or stuff like that. So we have like a huge collection of them downstairs at the moment.
One very strange one actually came in the shape of a grenade.
What was it?
A
chili sauce.
A chili sauce, and it is a glass grenade, and it's got the top on it.
Nice.
And it is one that blows their mind. That's why they've done it that way, I suspect. But it's something you can keep as well, I suppose. But yeah, I don't do spices. I have a sensitive stomach, so anything hotter than a medium chili, and I'm in trouble.
Oh, I hear you. I used to do it really crazy hot, but I don't as much. I'm much more sensitive because I eat a whole lot better. When I quit drinking years ago, then I was much more sensitive. Oh, nice. Now that wouldn't happen to be, what do you call it? The ghost pepper? What kind of pepper is it?
Flaming hot chili sauce.
I don't know. I just saw it and I thought, oh, that'd be fun for
You just got to have it.
So I do the shopping, so anything I find,
it's going to be high class. It was made in Luxembourg, and they're well renowned for chili.
Nice.
Oh no, products of China.
What's the weather like where you guys live?
At the moment, we've had rain for quite a few days. Although our summer was quite nice.
Do you have a lot of rain in general?
It depends.
It depends. We can have all 4 seasons in one day.
We're just coming up to storm season now. When I was out earlier on at sea, I mean, the ship that I'm on is massive, and we were rolling about quite a bit there. And it's kind of from now up to sort of like December, early January, storm season. So as soon as summer's out the way. But earlier on in the year, we had UFO Gandalf and UFO Gladriel. They come and stayed with us, and we attended a conference in the UK. And we went
interesting.
To Berlin,
which is where where Mika got to do the interview with Richard Dolan and Grant Cameron.
Oh, okay.
The UK, and we all went to the same conference.
What was the conference again?
Manchester. It was the Awakening.
The Awakening.
Yeah, it's a UFO and conscious life expo.
Oh, mix. Oh, okay.
The first one we ever went to, so it was good fun. Really, really, really cool.
And then we went crop circling.
Yeah, went to go and have a look at different crop circles and bits.
So
of
Crop circles.
they're still making them out there.
Yeah.
Do you ever catch them?
No.
Well, I mean, catch them?
No, we I mean,
they're really good at it. The people that make them are really good at it. It's called land art.
Yeah. Didn't you do something about this a little while ago? Was it you that done something on land art a little while ago in one of your?
Yeah, I did. Well, on the Above Majestic thing, I did a whole thing on the Oregon Yantra, which was a crop circle in the desert in a lake bed that magically appeared overnight. You know, oh, look at this. It's got to be aliens. And yeah, the guy came forward. Already had a business called Land Art. Showed exactly the way he did it, but no, it's not you who did it. It's aliens. You know, it's like, no, it's like, why do you always underestimate people?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, human beings are what made religion up and all the stuff that you're believing in. Why do you always underestimate? They're smart enough and magical enough to actually create all this stuff. You just got lost in it.
Yeah.
You know, and we're very devious creatures and clever creatures. In fact, we're so good we can actually lie to ourselves, and then we really get good at it, you know, because we believe our own shit, and we really make some interesting things. But it's always underestimated what people can do. You know, it can't be people. No, maybe it can't be you. Okay, maybe you just can't. You just don't believe that. You know, you have a very low opinion of yourself. So stop projecting that on everybody else. You know, it's like, nobody can do things. You know, no, you can't. You can't do things. So,
yeah. I mean, there's a very, very famous crop circle, and I'm not going to go into details, but it gets shown everywhere. But yeah, I know someone that was on that team making that crop circle.
Interesting.
It's shown in a lot of documentaries. It's one of the most famous ones in the world. But yeah, I know. But it's really weird though, because the crop circles we went into, there was genuinely, the first one we went into, there was like a warmth radiating from the ground. Because like you, I was very like, yeah, whatever. Never been to one. I think, yeah, whatever. And the atmosphere around it was pretty cold. It was a pretty grey, drizzly day when we got there. So there was kind of a little chill in the air. But as soon as we got in there, I know it sounds really stupid, but it just felt like there was heat coming up from the ground. And
the misty rain stopped.
Well, listen, folks, I was going to say, if you had a lot of rain and misty rain, I was going to ask you if I could move in with you. I love, in fact, that's one thing if I want to leave Sedona at some point, I want to move somewhere where there's fog and rain, a lot of it. I just love rain.
If you come to the UK, if you don't want to come to the UK and you want to stay in the States, then Seattle, obviously, Washington.
I know.
That's got to be the
I just,
you want seasons. If you like different seasons, so you actually experience autumn, winter, summer, spring, then the UK is where you need to be.
We have the seasons here. We have there in Sedona. It's very cozy. I may never leave the place because I forget sometimes that I'm living in a place everybody in the world wants to be. But when I think about, or at least visit, I think about places like Scotland, you know, or those mystical places, and I get so creative when the clouds come in. I mean, ask anybody that lives with me. It's like I'm just like, oh, I get, you know, I put on certain music, I can get into writing, whatever, and I don't want to. And sometimes when I'll see an opening in the clouds and I'll see the blue sky, I'll say, "Blue sky, go away," you know. But I'd love to live somewhere, maybe with some forest. I don't know, but somewhere where there's more, you know, sort of a spookier atmosphere. But you know, one thing about that, one of the reasons why the guy who created the Oregon Yantra is because he wanted to see how animals reacted to the land art. And he found that animals were attracted to the land art in very odd ways. So I'm not surprised that you had some experiences in the crop circle. Another thing, if you do the flower of life, if you measure yourself middle finger to middle finger, and you make yourself a circle, do it on a big floor, garage floor, whatever, and then draw the flower of life based on your exact geometry and stand in the middle of it, you're going to feel something very, very interesting. So there's I mean, I did, and that's something that they used to have us in the Flower of Life seminars, have us stand inside of a Merkaba that was made out of sticks. And so there's something that happens with the feeling, the actual physical feeling. Ooh, I'm bad. The physical feeling of being in a space where you can actually see the geometry. And listen, you're also going to have these experiences when you walk around in spooky places in the dark.
Yeah.
I mean, you walk in, somebody says there's a haunted house. Well, you're going to have experiences because in our genes, we were hunted.
Yeah. And
for hundreds of thousands, millions of years. So we already feel in the dark something staring at us and hunting us. Yeah. So, and in the dark, you know, in certain places, there's a good chance you're going to be hunted. So anyway, when we go to haunted houses, now the other thing too that we pick up in haunted houses as well is the history. Because you ever held, you know, like just put your hand on a very, very old chair. We've been in a very old house, very, very like you know, 200 years old or something, and you can just feel the history. You can just touch that, and you can have experiences. You know what I mean? Just by touching something, and you know, there's a very interesting thing there that I think this is where a lot of the paranormal stuff occurs, but. You know, then we're highly susceptible to hallucination. My whole thing is that people project it out there into dualism. My whole thing has been a dualism. You know, it's just when you get dualism, then you have to suppress and dissociate from the natural world. And my whole point is lifting up the natural world. And that's what it's all about. That's where the magic really is.
Yeah. So everything is within us.
Yeah. And our relationship to nature.
And
the clouds and the weather and the wind and, you know, I mean, somebody sees fairies in the flowers. Beautiful. Yeah. But if they don't realize it's coming from within them, you know, our subjective colors, the objective world in a beautiful way. But if you're not initiated in this, you won't understand it. And this is why they call it Maya on the path. And they call it a maze because Maya is very tricky. She's illusion. And so if you get the inner world and the outer world confused, which is what happens on the path, the initiates know the difference. And this is why the younger ones on the path get all cocky because they think they're too young and stupid. They haven't evolved on the path. And you need to admit you're stupid and dumb in order for you to evolve. In fact, that's one of the keys to becoming better, more intelligent. If you don't recognize you're an alcoholic, you're not going to be able to not become an, you know, to get through it. If you don't recognize that you have a whatever problem. So, you know, especially on this path, you've got to recognize that you think you're intelligent while you're completely diluted with Maya. She's got you so good that you're running around, strutting around like a pompous bozo. Yeah, lecturing everybody and telling them what to do. And it's like, what? How old are you?
Yeah,
you know, I'm 23. Okay. If you want me to teach you something, you know, I want you to roll across India on your stomach, and then come back and knock on my door. Maybe I'll teach you something, but probably not.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because there's a couple of really good books that you've shown recently that I've downloaded but I haven't got around to reading yet. Was it The Believing Brain by Michael Shermer? That was one of them.
Yeah.
And what was the other one? Was it Victor Stenger?
Yeah.
Do you have those books to hand?
I'm sorry?
Do you have those books to hand?
Hand?
Yeah.
Can I show you really quick? Like right here?
Yeah. I've downloaded them and on your recommendation. Because apparently they've been quite influential into your journey, haven't they?
There it is.
Ta-da! Mark Grana, I love
you, book.
You.
Great book. I got the audio and listened to it at work, and you really, really understand. Shermer's done a great work on this, and he's the head of the Skeptic Society, and he's a real scientist, you know. And I can't recommend this enough. And then anything by Victor Stenger, which listen, I haven't met a New Age or spiritual person that knows about this guy. You know, this is why I do recommend people jump into atheism and learn everything you can, because it's very liberating. Doesn't mean you have to pretend that you don't have inner world, you know. And that's why people said that my work has been the bridge between or been a bridge between the spiritual and the, you know, scientific or the non-believer believer thing. There's a bridge because you can have your cake and eat it too. I'm living proof of that. So Victor Stenger, wait a minute. Where are you?
It's disappeared.
He's gone on holiday.
Those damn avians.
Ta-da! Drum roll, please.
That's not where I put you.
So the minute I said those damn avians, they let their little grip. Actually, it's Memento Mori who's my he protects me.
He does now, yes.
Anytime the avians or anybody else, you know, he just he reminds them. He reminds them, Memento Mori, remember you must die, and all of a sudden the spirits go blink, blink. They're like, you know, because all the spirits are created by the biology. You know what I mean? So they're the ones running around all cocky and I'm the blue avians and stuff, you know, just like the Wizard of Oz, they're and yet they were the reason why they're having to be so cocky is because they aren't the source of their existence. They're just phantoms. So they have to try to make you believe they're real. That's why they work so hard at it. And at the end of the day, guess who wins?
He does.
Yes.
No, he is dead. Oh, no.
No, he was just showing you that
Skills.
he's immortal due to his deathness.
Look at that. Not broken.
No, your immortality is realizing that you're already one by default with the cosmos.
Or it's
You
just
don't even have to meditate.
stuff.
Let's get Carl Sagan in on it.
But you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
people are like, oh, we have to meditate to be one with. You don't have to be one with the universe. You already are. You didn't even choose to come here. You don't choose to breathe. You don't even choose your thoughts. You just think so. You know, here's the thing. I'll give you in a nutshell. Here's what we have is we got Bob stuck on an organism. Okay. Here's this guy here, and he's got the name Bob stuck on his organism. Okay. His name is Bob. So Bob has a little history of Bob, what Bob likes, Bob's parents, Bob's work, Bob's feelings, Bob this, Bob that, Bob whatever. And yet Bob thinks that he's running his life. When in reality, Bob ain't doing anything. You know, everything is happening. It's happening. And this is really the great realization of really the Upanishads and other systems where you get to the point where you realize, poof, there's no self. You know, there was no one born. There's nobody, you know, I mean, there's this realization that life has always been happening, and you are nothing more than expression of this life. And you realize, when you realize, like, you know, Aleister Crowley used to tell his disciples to cut your wrist every time you say the word I, say I. There's a reason for this whole I thing. It's this volitional being that thinks it's running the show, and it's not. So precursor romper room versions of this is when you have a higher self. That's romper room level of it. And yeah, if you have a higher self, it's not me, but it's God, which is fine. That's a starter version of it. But then the more advanced version is when the realization happens, you realize that you are being lived. You are not seeing. Bob is not seeing. Seeing is happening. Bob isn't choosing to go to bed. Tiredness is happening, and this is occurring. Heartbeat is beating. Thoughts are happening. There was a study done at the Max Planck Institute in Germany on thoughts. And they discovered that we become aware of our thoughts just after they arise, which blows away the whole idea that you are thinking. So it's all happening. I mean, if you just look at the whole thing that's occurring, you know, you are a brain. This is actually what you are as, you know, because you can cut off your arms and hobble around without legs and all this stuff. But the eyes that are seeing the whole identity, this is the brain. This is you as a brain. So all of this that's occurring, thoughts and feelings and everything, is all happening by this organism that if one thing shut down, you wouldn't even have a thought. the thoughts that you're thinking. If one thing gets screwed up, you're going to have thoughts about that thing that's screwing up. But then you say, well, you know, when you get sick and you're feeling crappy and all these thoughts are going on, are you choosing that? No, you've become sick and thoughts are happening. So thoughting occurs. The wind is blowing. These things are happening. So this is the great realization. And it's a very difficult realization because you can, there's a lot of people who try to get it and they think that they're there. And what they do is they talk about how they're nobody. And they do that for a while and not realizing that they've just become another something, which is I'm nobody. And it's a new identity, the identity of nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Makes it. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Victor Stenger. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
These are all really good books. You can find him on Amazon. This is one of my favorites.
Is that the new?
This is God and the Folly of Faith.
Yep.
The Incompatibility of Science and Religion. And look at, I'm telling you, and he gets into the New Age a lot. In fact, he was the guy really that went after the New Age to clear up all the silly science that they had misquoted. He was a quantum physicist, and he cleared it all up. He was a quantum physicist, yeah, and definitely a physicist, but I believe he was a quantum physicist. Professor of physics and astronomy at the University of Hawaii. And so he clearly understood quantum physics, and he got way into and explained why they got it completely wrong. And this is one of the reasons why you see Deepak Chopra is really kind of fizzled out. It's because he got his ass handed to him by Sam Harris and, you know, all these a number of other scientists that said, guess what? You got it wrong. And then how many books did Deepak write? They're all wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. You know, this quantum physics has nothing to do with consciousness and you know, it's silly. Nobody looked at photons in that experiment. Nobody looked at it. These are mathematical equations. These are experiments on quantum levels. And if you try to apply that to the macro level, it's silly. You know, the moon doesn't disappear when you're not looking at it. This is romper room level stuff. And this is what these people write massive books about and become bestsellers.
Yeah.
I mean, David Wilcock's book is a flippin' bestseller. I mean, I should republish the Mother Goose thing and just with my own spin on it. I'll probably become a bestseller. Just tell them that Mother Goose was always actual real stories. They just put it out in fiction because they didn't think people could handle it. This is a real story. There really was a lady that lived in a shoe.
Of course there was.
Now, this one I may recommend to right off the bat.
I've just downloaded that one.
This one, really good. And God, the Folly of Faith, really good. Now, you see, he even gets into the Higgs boson. You know, he gets into that. Now, this is a much more technical book, but I'm just letting you know. Now, here's a book that I really, really recommend. Psychics and Physics, The Search for a World Beyond the Senses. Now, this is really good. In fact, it reminds me, I should bounce through some of the stuff into a video on this. This is really good stuff. He gets into channeling. He gets into all sorts of paranormal, drugs and separate realities, illusions and delusions, meditation and prayer, out-of-body experiences. There's another book on out-of-body experiences I highly recommend. You might want to write this down, is The Ego Tunnel. Ego Tunnel,
right,
by Metzinger. And that's a neuroscientist. That is a guy who had out-of-body experiences his whole life and became a neuroscientist. And when I read that book, all of my experiences, my whole life of out-of-body experiences, I had already come to the same conclusions, but he really nailed it down for me. I was like, that's exactly it. Boom. That is it.
Ego Tunnel by, sorry.
His name is Metzinger, Metzinger. So if you just get close to, I can see the books right over there, but if you just get close to it, and you just pull it up, Metzinger, The Ego Tunnel, it'll come up. But I would say Psychic and Physics is the one I really recommend. These are his older books, The Unconscious Quantum. This one, a little bit more difficult to understand. Between this one and this one, I would get Psychics and Physics. And then again, two of my favorites are, so the three, I'd say these are the three that I recommend: Psychics and Physics, The New Atheism, and God, the Folly of Faith. Because in the new atheism, I think he gets into. See, and people get a little freaked out about atheism. Just understand, you believe how liberating it is to have the whole God bubble pop. It really is liberating. You know, that whole anthropomorphic God thing. But you still have everything that all this was pointing to. You just realize that all of this is always been you and the creator in the source of human. You just find the real source of it. You just lose the illusion. That's all it is. That's all that's going on. But people go, I'm losing the whole thing. No, you're losing the illusion. You're now finding the real thing. And so atheism is just a word that says I'm no longer bowing down to anthropomorphic Santa Clauses in outer space. Oh, you're an atheist. Atheist is bad. No, you just don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
Anyway, so there's a lot of stuff here. Transcendence, the afterlife, beyond matter, spiritual energy. This is a chapter I highly recommend here. That one, transcendence.
Okay.
Because he gets into quantum physics. He gets into
Beyond matter.
He'll actually show you, like, there's a thing. You know what's going on with an aura? See, it gets into reincarnation, the physics of Christianity. Wait a minute.
Wow.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Veridical near-death experiences. Recent data, problems with near-death experiences, reincarnation, the rematerialization of matter. I mean, it really jumps into it. All of this really delicious stuff. Here's matter and mind,
Body
free will, the quantum brain. See, all of this stuff he addresses. And what was I going to say? I was going to say something I forgot that I really wanted to say. Oh, well. There it goes.
It was there once.
It was there.
Steps, it may come back.
It might. We'll see.
Okay, we've had a couple of questions that I have. I'm just going to get highlighted. So here comes one up the screen. Bing!
I've got to know, Zzenn, before that, where does the blink blink come from? Because that is cool.
Bling, bling.
Let me see. I have to get my camera to line up with my jam. I think I got it from Ren and Stimpy.
Right. We like Ren and Stimpy.
I was a big fan of Ren and Stimpy. Come on, camera. Bring my jam back. Wait a minute.
What's the matter?
It's got a bit blurry.
It's not. I'm a little blurry sometimes, and I try to get there's a crystal clear HD that kicks in. And anyway. Yeah, I think I got that from Ren and Stimpy.
Right.
Excellent. So
This is so funny. I love the idea. I mean, the thing of it is also came to me naturally too, because there were times, I would just look at something and there was a blink blink going on, a natural blink blink. I was like, huh? It was just so silly. And so I think it naturally just came out. We just started doing it.
Brilliant.
I mean, the other thing too, I was thinking on my path, there were so many things that were blink blink. I mean, like literally like, huh? I mean, just like this can't be happening, sort of, huh? So, yeah. All right, come back to me, camera. I'm gonna do some magic. Ooh, I don't like this auto. Huh?
Hey, you're back in the house in HD.
I'm back in the house. Or should I show you my mysterious seed of life tattooed?
Oh.
People ask you, do you know who Drumblo is? I'm like, huh?
Yeah. Did you get anything back from him?
Not yet, but I did give it to his wife the other day, and so she said he might do it. I have a feeling Drumblo's not. I'm gonna have to track him down. I'm gonna have to, because he's like a child. So I'm gonna have to chase him around to get him to do it, and he'll probably do it. But he really is like a child. Do I like to be out in nature? Yes, I do. I live in Sedona. I live surrounded around. Well, I'm a bit of a hermit as well. I mean, I'm a homebody, but I live in nature and I do take walks. My favorite things to do for exercise is take walks. So when I take walk, I'm living in a painting. And I can also, I mean, there's all sorts of great hikes around here. And yes, nature is, absolutely love it. Do I camp a lot? Am I in nature a lot? No, I was in it a lot more before. I just went a lot of different places in Sedona, but I like spending a lot of time at home, bit of a homebody. But other than that, if I wasn't living in Sedona, I think it would be much different because I'm living in nature. I mean, if you could see, you look out my window, there's Thunder Mountain right there.
Wow.
I'm living in a painting. So that's why I'm here, so have a beautiful big tree out front. I have a relationship with, so the energy of this place is, I like being in the forest,
That's where I feel most at home, in the woods, in the
in the
forest.
woods.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's I go up to Flagstaff every now and then, and we go up the switchbacks up to Flag, and it's the most beautiful drive ever. I mean, you're going through that whole forest, red rocks and forest, and then it emerges out into different colors of rocks. And as you get up into Flagstaff, so I live in nature.
Yeah.
Okay, what are your thoughts on cryptids?
Well, my immediate thought is, what is cryptid? What is a cryptid?
Bigfoot, Nessie, those Mothman.
I think it would be fun if they're real.
Mothman is real, whereas all the others, unless there's absolute definitive proof.
Okay.
Oh, there is?
Mothman?
There is?
Mothman prophecy. No, it's only the Mothman prophecy.
Is it?
Yeah.
There is definitive proof?
Pleasant, something like that. I don't know.
Well,
so how'd you stand on Bigfoot? Is Bigfoot real?
I think it's a great idea. Well, again, this is all belief. Do I believe Santa Claus is real? I don't know. No, seriously. Do I believe it's real? I think it's very possible. I think that there's a lot of people that there's some very odd things that have occurred around the Bigfoot phenomenon, even though there's still a lot of people balking at it. Some of the stories that people are saying are significant of something wandering around there, whether it is a bear or something else, I don't know. But there is some data that does point to the possibility. I like the idea. I like the idea of there being a spirit realm and ghosts. I like the whole idea, but I'm just saying where I got to is I don't really see that anymore. I don't think that's the case, and that's not where the evidence leads. Doesn't mean that you're not still going to have the ghost experience. Doesn't mean that you're not going to be haunted. These hauntings and these things come from within you. They just get projected outward and you think they're outward. It's still happening. But okay, Bigfoot. Yeah. You know what? It could be. I don't know, but I like the idea. I like the idea of aliens landing and visiting us. I like that idea as long as they don't want to eat us. I like that idea too,
Yeah.
And there's also things about human metamorphosis I've learned too. That some of it I can't really talk about, but because it's too far out there. But I think there's something to our evolution and where we may be ending up in so many thousands of years. We may morph into something.
Okay. Well, that actually leads quite nicely into the next question, and it is Mark Trana. Have you had a UFO experience?
No, not a direct one. I haven't.
No.
I have seen things flying around, in Sedona and stuff, and I've had friends that have made claims about direct UFO experiences. But my whole take on it is the whole narrative is all the evidence leads to it being man-made, and there's a whole agenda to it. And all I can say is I've been at it a long time. Some of the biggest names in the UFO industry have come forward and said the same thing. There's a lot of stuff going on underneath the surface of this. And I think that a lot of the craft people are seeing is just advanced technology, and they're unmanned craft. This is why they go, well, how can anybody be in that? It's traveling so fast, because there isn't anyone in there. It's a craft and it's advanced technology. And so what a better way to throw the herd, the sheep, keep them distracted is all you have to do is throw them fairy tales, blue-birded aliens, avians, and blue, they'll believe in anything just to keep them off the the scent, of what's really going on. They'll buy anything. But once you start waking up and you look at this new age stuff, you know, it's almost embarrassing, you know, that you, but, so no, not directly have I had, but, you know, been in it, you know, from the really it's mainline inception in the early 90s, late 80s.
Well,
Okay.
we already know how you stand on the Bob Lazar thing, so we won't ask on that one.
What's that?
We know how you stand on the Bob Lazar thing, because obviously that was a big thing again not so long ago, wasn't it?
That was huge. I mean, he was one of the most convincing, but I really, you know, C.W. Chanter did a really good thing on that, and then Stephen Cambion also. And so I think these guys have done. In fact, I don't need to do anything. I just refer people to them because they've done the work on it. So I think they've done a great job. You know,
absolutely, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you remember back in sort of like the 90s when the Roswell alien autopsy video came out.
Yes.
And everyone was just like, "Oh, wow, that was so cool."
You know, there's a number of graphic special effects people in the movies that you do special effects that just make a killing off of YouTube, making up stuff, and they get millions of views. And again, like the whole thing with Chris Angel I was showing earlier today, Chris Angel, you know, pulling a lady apart. You know, and the whole thing took like 5 hours to create, and they got somebody who was already cut in half, a lady that walks on her arms, and they did this whole thing, and all of the people were actors and the whole thing, and you know, people just they just don't think, you know, we're naturally superstitious as well. We're fairly superstitious, you know, and that's another thing that the believing brain, I think, talks about. We're just naturally superstitious.
Yeah, of course. Right.
Okay.
Is this the last one?
I think it is at
Right,
the moment.
let me just get something out.
Okay. Thoughts on the new age industry?
I have 500 videos on that you can watch. Thoughts on the new age industry? It's an industry. It's a money making industry.
Is it industry? There we go.
And it really is a money making industry. I think. Look, I think there's, you know, anything that works, you got to have truth in it. So of course there's workable things in there. There's you know, I think meditation is great. I think yoga is great. I think doing all sorts of things that are good for you are really good. All of that stuff's good. But don't forget that it's that's the base, sort of stable base of it. Also Kundalini, raising your Kundalini and all that, real stuff. But then you have this whole new age fantasy land that comes out of Theosophy and Alice Bailey and all this stuff, which comes out of the root of spiritualism, you know, early 20th century, late 19th century spiritualism, and, you know, in the 19th century spiritualism. And so this is a fantasy that has, you know, it sells. You make great money. All you have to do is just look at these channels. I mean, there's a channel out there that's this man and his girlfriend claim to be the reincarnation of Jesus and Mary. I think he's got 80,000 subscribers. I can barely get past 2,700. In fact, I think I've gotten 15 subscribers, but because I have so many people unsubscribing from my channel, like I'll get 100 subscribers and then I'll get 98 unsubscribes. So I have this like love-hate thing on my channel. So I've been, you know, I've been stuck at like 2,700 or somewhere between 2,055 to 2,700 for months. And no matter, but here's the thing. But here's the thing is I get my views keep increasing on per video. I keep getting way more interest in everything. You know, everything's growing. Live streams are growing, everything, but my views are just stuck. And I was suspect with YouTube. I keep contacting them. I go, what the hell's going on with my subs? And they keep on sending me to the analytics. And I go, okay, well, if that's the case, then why do you demonetize my videos, right? Videos where there's nothing I'm saying in there. Zero. It's just simply conversation. You'll demonetize that. And then the one over here, you'll monetize it where I'm cussing, talking political shit, all of this stuff. I'm just being the asshole when I'm in that mood, all that. And you demonetize that. I've many times I've brought it to them and they still come back with some stupid response, which is, well, you need to look at the analytics because I go, look, I got a brain. I can see exactly what's in front of me. What are you saying? And it's like, they're just like gaslighting your ass. They just gaslight you. So I don't know. It could be a chance that I have way more. I was getting 100 subs a day when I had one video about Linda Moulton Howe went to 100,000 views in just a matter of like 2 weeks. And I got 100 views. I got 100 subs a day. And then, so I know people jump on the channel. I know that. Why it goes, the ratio is, you know, like 10 subscribers and then 9 unsubscribe. I don't know. Anyway, whatever, you know, it is what it's, but point being, it's just cruising around YouTube. You'll find that if you're talking about invisible blue people or, you know, whatever people want to make up, you'll make a lot of money. That's the way to go. If you want to make money, do not do what I do. Do not do what I do. I do not recommend it. You will be broke. You should have your day job, which I do. You know, so, and the other thing, if you want to make a lot of money, go into like Walmart and fart, you know?
Yeah. What is that all about?
I just can't do that on demand.
Yeah. Just go Walmart and fart or, you know, I don't know, just, you know, throw your cat through a window. No, I don't recommend that. I'm not for animal abuse, but, you know, I don't know, buy an animal and have it, you know, pet it. You know, I mean, you know, the monkeys like all sorts of stuff. Just entertain the monkeys, whatever makes them laugh. And you can do a lot of things that make them laugh and you'll make a lot of money. But don't do anything like a substantial, like try to change people's lives or stop, you know, help people come out of cults. You know, don't do that because
very frowned upon.
That's bad. You know,
it's bad and guy. Right, Zzenn, we've hit the 2-hour mark. So that's it, my man. Genuinely, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, what a
on
conversation.
To Fascination
It's
Street.
been amazing.
You are by far one of the most fascinating people, no take on the name there at all, that we've had with us. It's been amazing.
Is that why you call it Fascination Street?
No.
Hey, no, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you guys tons. Thanks for inviting me on, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed this interview, and I was glad I could be here and I enjoyed having the jam with you guys as well.
We don't like the word interview.
No.
We find that too
formal.
We
conversation,
like a chat. We're on our sofa.
We're on our sofa. You're in our lounge.
So therefore.
It's a convo, man. I call it a jam. Let's have a jam together.
I'm drinking a Sprite. Sarah's got probably a Pepsi Max on the go.
Yeah.
You know, and you're sat the other side of our lounge.
Exactly. I'm the same way. When I did the whole thing with Stephen Cambian, I called it an interview/conversation, you know, so I'm the same way.
Formal otherwise. And it just seems, especially when we've got Little Un with us as well. If you say interview or if you say exam to him, he's
right.
And it's like
right. Freezes up.
So it's not an interview. So it's
yeah. Well, you hang out with somebody and you're asking them questions. You know, it's like you're hanging out, having a couple beers, and you're like, "So, hey, Zzenn, you know, what's your story?" You know, and it's like,
And the interview, you know, the people that we have with the audience, that's a big part of our show, is having the audience have their interaction with it as well. It's not just us, it's everyone.
Maybe when we rebrand, we should become Fascination Lounge.
Ooh. I'm voting for that one for sure. Yeah, I love that.
If you do anything else, you can be the Zzenn Lounge, or
the Zzenn
Lounge. But no, Fascination Lounge. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it really fits for you, Fascination Lounge, because it's fascinating to lounge with you guys. I love it. It makes me want to come back on. You know, I mean, I'd love to come back on anyway, but
always got to
you rename it Fascination Lounge. Here I come.
What are you doing this weekend? Going to the Fascination Lounge? That
What?
Sounds amazing. Is that a Damien Hirst place? No?
Yeah. Reminds me of Jiggy's place. Jiggy says that he has people all over the place that come over and hang out with him, you know, and it's just so cool to watch those guys just chill out. And I like how they warm it up, you know. They start tooting, you know, and just kind of getting the whole thing warmed up with music. And then as soon as they're at that they've hit that high, you know. All right, now let's go. That's awesome.
Okay.
Your show again with those was amazing. That was really, really good.
It was
I've
fun.
managed to get about 2/3 of the way through it now, because where it's like 3 hours long and the time difference. When I get up in the morning, the first thing I do on a Friday morning hit the paranormal hood and then start going through it bit by bit. While I'm on the ship, if I have like a spare few moments, that's it, watching Paranormal Hood. So yeah, I do it bit by bit.
Yeah.
Nice. What do you do on the ship? I know you guys got to go, but what is the whole
That's
deal?
right. Are you cool to hang around after the show? Because we've got to show you some bits and pieces anyway, haven't we?
I'm sorry?
You're cool. Are you cool to hang around after the show?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and we'll
yeah.
show you some bits and pieces. I'm on board services. So I could be doing anything. I could be taking your payment for a meal. I could be working in the Premier Lounge, looking after sort of like
Silver service,
yeah, like
kind
the
of
first
thing.
class kind of thing. I can work in silver service restaurant on board. So
It's not a long journey. Is it a short, like a local?
It's an hour and a half. So I go from Dover to Calais in France.
Oh, fun.
Which is 21 miles, which is the shortest point to mainland Europe.
If you ever look on my Facebook page, you'll see some of the pictures that I've put out this week of like seascapes, because where it's been a bit moody and that, I always sort of like try and take some pictures. I love getting outside when it's really, really rough and it's raining, and it's just really, really nice. I know it probably sounds really weird, but
oh no, I love the minute you're talking boat and rain and all that stuff, man. I'm there. Let's serve up the shrimp. Get me a beer. You know.
Hit my Facebook page and have a look at my stuff for the last week, and you'll see some really, really cool pictures that you'll probably really enjoy. And there should be one on there that I posted that I took a little while ago, and it was of a skyfall, and it looks like a natural waterfall coming from the sky into the sea.
Wow,
it's so cool.
Are you in the group?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so I can track you there.
Yeah, I'm Jimmy Pearson in the group.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I probably seen you many times, but you know me, I'm juggling like I've got like 10 plates I'm spinning, you know.
Yeah.
I come over here, I'm like, oh, that one's slowing down. Like, you know.
It's a good job you got us here to remind you of all these different things as well.
It's high, you know, I run high octane, you know, I've got a number of projects going on, which means I don't like to overdo it. So I like to do the 3 things right instead of the 10 things wrong. So I try to keep up, sometimes a little behind. I feel that way with Zzenn Temple, but I also trust the whole thing's going to work out. So it will be what it will be.
Fantastic.
It will.
All right. Well, Zzenn, hang around there for a minute. We're just going to sign off to everyone, and then we'll be back with you after the show.
Okay.
Right.
Wow. Fabulous. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, audience, for being there and your fabulous questions. As ever, you did not disappoint.
No.
And sorry, I know there's been some conversation going on in the chat room, but obviously while I'm in front of the camera, it's difficult to keep an eye on the chat. So if you've said anything to us, tough, we didn't see it, I'm afraid.
Or feel free to private message us on any social media. You know where we can be found. It was really, really nice to see a couple of new faces in. Thank you so much for giving us your time, because we appreciate time is the most precious gift that you can give anyone, and you've given it to us. So thank you so much. Shout outs for tonight. Shout outs will be Natasha Nix, Mysterious Forces Live. Dave Partridge, Shadows of Your Mind magazine. Erik Stitt, Erik Stitt Art. Brett Larson, Inquire Within. Ray and Dennis over at Sixth Sense Media. Love you guys. Ray, happy birthday if you're watching. Love you very, very, very much. CW Kelly, Jiggy and Smoke King. Anyone you can think of? Oh, yes, Planet Looper. Some of the stuff you've been putting out this week on YouTube has been fantastic. Musical experiments, music in general, really, really like. And enjoy being as well. Your creative thought and spoken word pieces that you've put out this week have also been really, really great. And
top notch.
Yeah, we've really dug deep into them. So for that, thank you so much. Really means a lot to us.
Okay, we're not sure who we're going to have on next week. We're still working the ties out. So we will let you know when we find out. So until then, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the other side next week.
Peace out. See ya.